Hey guys, welcome to Reddit Brew. You know the drill. We're back at it again with the Reddit stories. So let's jump into it, shall we? HOA rules need to be followed? Sure. The setup. Our tale begins in my teen years about 10 to 11 years ago. It was summer, and my parents wanted to go on vacation. Me being a 16-year-old dumbass with both a gaming addiction and seeing my cue to living the free, independent, unsupervised life, much like a house cat with an open door for 2 weeks opportunity, offered to house and dog sit while they and my sister went on vacation. Some important background information is probably needed here, since else some dumbasses here might call my parents neglectful for leaving a 16-year-old unsupervised for 2 weeks. We lived in the suburb, and I was taught most life skills by the time I was 12. The only dangers I could be exposed to would be alcohol poisoning and strains to my wrist from the insane amount of rounds I would force my poor member through during the 2 weeks. You know, the typical threats for a boy in a country in which 16-year-olds can buy beer. The Boy and the Karen Megasaurus Rex. Week 1. While gaming took 90% of my time away, and I developed the day and night schedule of a back-end developer, I still did all the chores around the house, with a few exceptions since I deemed they could wait. I checked the mailbox, and there was a handwritten letter with runes of the ancient. Using my old doctor's notes as a Rosetta Stone, I deciphered that it was from the president of our equivalent of an HOA. Imagine an HOA with a fifth of the power that a typical HOA in the US would have. A Hawkeye of the HOA Avengers. If it was a sport, it would only receive participation awards. You get the point. The Moria written tomb said that the grass of my front lawn was too tall according to regulations. I went out, took a look at the grass, which was maybe 1 centimeter too tall. That's the equivalent of a jelly bean to my freedom measurement, folks. Same day, I cut the grass, cause might as well do so to keep the peace. The day after, a new letter written by the same Shakespeare wannabe came. I grabbed my Indiana Jones hat and performed a heathen ritual in the shed to read the message. The roses in my front yard were going too far through the fence by 15 centimeters. That's an average-sized carrot in Americana. I once again comply. On the 3rd day of shitmas, the true cause of annoyance said to me, my backyard's bushes were too tall. Here is where I finally get irritated, since you have to enter my parents' property to check the bush's height. With Satan's 3 commandments in hand, I go and visit my direct neighbor, who I knew were in the HOA board. I ask her about the gutter speak letters, and she looks through them and laughs. Those are from the Banshee of Arrakis, aka the Mega Karen, who lived 10 houses further down the street. She had been kicked out of the HOA board after she poisoned 3 dogs in the neighborhood with rat poison-laced treats. Not wanting to deal with her after she threw rocks at me when I was trick-or-treating as a child, I decided to let the case rest and leave my bushes be untrimmed like certain minority porn actresses often do. The Boy, the planted bomb, and the instigation. Fast forward a week into my parents' vacation. After being alone for 7 days, I finally mastered the art of playing Mozart's Requiem on the meat flute and decided to do something else. As any teenager would, I started to plan a party. Like the good kid I was, I went around to all my nearby neighbors and warned them about the potential noise, which parties tend to create. At some point here, in my post-nut clarity, I remember the saying, bitches be fading, but a good Counter-Strike match lasts forever. So instead of holding a straight-up party, I decided to invite my friends over to a LAN party, so we could play Counter-Strike Source and quickly replace the white blood cells in our body with whatever was in the knockoff energy drinks. Fast forward to said LAN party. My parents' dining room smells like teenage farts, Axe body spray, sweat, and all the chips in the world mixed together. Typical LAN stuff. 1 a.m., there is a loud knock on the door. I go out to see 2 cops looking at me with a surprised Pikachu face. I look at them with the same amount of confusion. We have a report that there is a loud party going on, and there might be several minors doing drugs here. Does energy drinks count as drugs? No? Then I have no idea what you're talking about. We had a frantic woman calling constantly. which is why we came. But it seems we are more of a disturbance than you guys are. At the same time, one of my friends can be heard in the background. OP, get in here. The bomb has been planted and you're the only one alive. Counter-strike. Counter-strike. We'll leave you to it then. Cops left and we lost the match. Unrelated though. 2 days later, I get another knock on my door. There she is, the bane of all good, she who must not be mentioned, without carrying Mirak's sword and a towel on you. She starts screaming that me and my drug party kept her up all night, and that I'm a horrible brat who needs to tend to my bushes if my parents don't want to lose the house. At this point, I stop her and remind her that 1. The HOA doesn't have the power to do that. They hardly have the power to do anything except approve of house owners' requests. 2. That she was kicked out of the HOA due to the poison incident. 3. That I didn't even have a party. And 4. That she needs to stay the fuck away from my backyard. She got even madder and started screaming that she would have me and my parents arrested, and that the poison treats were meant for my dog as well. I slammed the door on her faster than hyperspacing from Argo's row. She had royally pissed me off. No one threatens my good boy. No one. Perfectly legal pettiness. So now we are at our final act, my revenge. I had about 4 days before my parents returned, so I made them count. I called the police and visited my real HOA neighbor and got all the necessary approvals. Then I went over and talked with the neighbors surrounding her house. I would do all their yard work, which involved loud equipment around her house. Legally, we were allowed to make noise from 8 a.m. till 8 p.m. with yard work, but it's considered rude to do it after 5 p.m. That didn't stop me though. Like a druid on Paragon level 256, I just kept sending leaves and grass flying, as if all the bushes, trees, and odd plants had pissed in my grandfather's ashes. She came out and screamed at me, even threw a rock at me. It brought back old memories, but I didn't care. I was gonna make as much legal sound as possible. Whenever she complained, I just told her that their plants weren't up to HOA standard. Friday rolls around. It's 8 a.m. Me and my friends are gathered in front of her house. We have all the tools ready, purchased by the blood coin of my insanity-induced labor the 2 days prior. It's time to make her pay. We turn on the speaker, the barbecue, and crack up a beer. Speaker is set to the exact legal limit of how loud the music is allowed to be. Most of her neighbors come out and join during the day, since I had invited them while kill-billing their plants. She screamed constantly for an hour and called the cops twice, who left after seeing my permits from themselves and the HOA. That's right, bitch. If you want a party to complain about, then you shall get the finest party of the Shire just outside your house. We kept it up to the exact time limit. Edit. For those who haven't read my comments, all 3 dogs survived, and she was served and settled out of court. She moved a couple years after my revenge took place, unrelated to the incident, and so did my parents, which means I don't know what happened to her in the end. Maybe she's dead. Maybe she's being mean to some kids somewhere else. Or maybe she turned around and became a nice person. Okay, I'll be honest, I mainly read this story because of the extremely eccentric writing style. Like, who wrote this story? Lemony Snicket? My reaction was about the same as this. Mozart's Requiem on the Meat Flute. My guy, what the fuck? My guy, what the fuck indeed. Also, LAN parties? Nostalgia? The good old days of LAN parties. Forewarning, I'm about to go on a completely unrelated tangent, but this was about 15 years ago for me, and back then, my town had this internet cafe type place called Liquid Matrix that essentially was just a giant LAN party. Rows of PCs and teens cracking Monster Energy, playing Counter-Strike all weekend long. You'd message your friend on MSN Messenger Friday after school, you want to meet at Liquid in an hour? Yeah, we called it liquid. They also sold Nexopia Plus there, which was amazing since it was hard to obtain a credit card at age 14 to buy Plus online. So because of Liquid Matrix, I was part of the elite Nexopia.com users. Anyway, I'm sure 99% of you have no idea what I'm talking about, so I'm going to stop nerdgasming now. I love thinking back to my cringy teen years. Now I'm just a cringe adult. And I also kind of bring this up because I know a lot of you are probably like, yeah, that conversation with the cop is totally fake. But if the cop was a young adult, he definitely would have known what Counter-Strike is. Counter-Strike was huge. So I thoroughly enjoyed reading this. Absolutely ridiculous story. I hope you enjoyed it too. And that is all from me today. Please leave a like and subscribe if you want. I truly appreciate when you do. And I will see you in the next Reddit story. Bye!